What's up, guys? Trevor the Great here again from Wave the Swan with another super awesome Warmachine and Hordes battle report coming at you. This time a little bit different. No Signar on the table today. A little bit of a departure from what I usually do, but as I mentioned in my previous battle report, I won the East Coast Rumble, which is a small convention on the East Coast, ostensibly, and that gave me a qualifier to Warmachine Weekend. So the next couple months, I'm sort of tooling around with different lists. I'm not really practicing anything competitively very seriously. So I am taking a break from Signar, going on into Minions today. So today I'll be playing Rask versus Trollbloods, and they're going to have Jarl Skuld at the head of their army. So Jarl is bringing in his list, a pretty standard Jarl list, I'm pretty sure. In his battle group are a Storm Troll, an Impaler, a Dire Troll Blitzer, and Dozer and Smig, the character Blitzer-esque sort of warbeast, as well as a Trollkin Runebear attached to Jarl Skuld, a max unit of Nis Hunters, a max unit of Warders, Alton Ashley, a Fellcaller, and the Totem Hunter. Altogether, a lot of Quicken targets in this list. I think Jarl's going to try to be swapping Quicken between the Nis Hunters and the Warders. The Warders become speed 6 with Quicken, which actually makes up for their pretty low speed, which makes them pretty dangerous. If they can get up in there with their high armor and their weapon master attacks, they can get a lot of damage done with that speed buff. Backed up by a really strong shooting battle group with a lot of a heavy toolbox. The Impaler's in there for snipe, the Storm Troll's in there to clear infantry, and it can also give Electro Leaps to any of the trolls that get into melee. So overall, well-rounded list with a lot of different tools, and very, very fast with Quicken and that feat that can protect Jarl's army on the way in. The Rask list I'm playing today, I'm pretty new to. This is actually my first game with it, I think, if I remember correctly. But I'm not new to Rask, even though it might seem like it, because I haven't played Minions in a super long time. But I think it's a pretty standard Rask list. It's just a bunch of bodies on the table that you can put Fury on, and it just tries to attrition out to either a scenario or assassination victory by drowning you in waves upon waves of Gatormen. So what the list is a Bull Snapper and a Black-Hide Wrestler in Rask's battle group. The Bull Snapper is great there for the armor buff on Rask because he tends to be sort of midline, even though his defensive stats are not very good. Also, Splendid Growth and Black-Hide Wrestler is very strong as well. The Black-Hide Wrestler is basically in there to generate Fury. In the late game, it's going to anchor with Fury and Boundless Charge on it, so threat's 10 inches still. It can also turn on the Flying Circus trick with Wrong Eye and Snapshot, who are also in the list. For my units, I'm bringing 3 units of Gator and Posse, so putting 15 Posse down on the table, as well as a Boker and Bog Trog Shamblers. The Shamblers themselves, not that impressive, but Rask can use his Call to Sacrifice ability on them because they are Bog Trog Shamblers. So when you kill a human or a troll and turn them into a Bog Trog, Rask then sees it as one of his own people and throws it in front of bullets for him. So overall, very nice little recursion mechanic in there, as well as a ton of Posse to feed it and just to hit things with giant sticks. There's also a Swamp Gobber Bellows crew to protect Rask as well. A Feral Geist just as an extra point, and also, like I said before, you can turn on that Flying Circus as well if you throw the model you're throwing with the Black-Hide Wrestler at the Feral Geist so it doesn't deviate. And as I said before, Wrong Eye Snapjaw. I'm a huge fan of Wrong Eye Snapjaw with Rask. Snapjaw trades up super hard with Fury and Boundless Charge. Throws 14 inches against living models, which is super significant. You can also throw him for even longer. He can go 17 to 20-ish inches if you need him to, although he sometimes outpaces Wrong Eye's control area if you do that. But very, very strong threat in that list. You can also Fury Wrong Eye, which is one of my favorite things to do because he goes into like a power 16 just murder machine with 4 Fury and can get a ton of work done all by himself. The scenario playing today is 2 fronts. In this scenario, there are 2 rectangular zones, one for each player, and each player has an objective in that zone. You can destroy the enemy objective for 1 control point, dominate your own zone for 1 control point, control the enemy zone for 1 control point, or dominate the enemy zone for 2 control points. So there's a maximum of 3 you can score in 1 turn in this scenario, and there is a kill box. So if you Warlock or Warcaster ends its activation completely within 14 inches of any of the table edges, your opponent will score 2 points, and that's pretty bad. You don't want to give them a hefty scenario lead like that. But let's get on to into this game. A bit of an odd matchup, Jarl versus Rask, but I'm excited to see how it goes. All right, starting the game off, I won the role to go first, so here we are in deployment. Like I said before, I'm not very experienced with this list, so I ended up putting pretty much everything in the middle. You can see all 3 units of Gatorman Posse are basically directly in the center there. Rask and the Boker in the center of that formation, so that the Boker can collect the most corpses off of those Gatormen that die. The Wrestler is on my left flank, closer to the camera, and Wrong Eye and Snapjaw are on my right. It might be better in future games to keep them together so I can get the Flying Circus jerked off a little bit with Wrestler and Snapjaw, but this game it didn't end up mattering too much. My opponent's basically deploying similarly. The Nis are on his right flank, closer to the camera. Warder's in the center there, and most of the battle group on the left. Dozer and Smig and the Blitzer up there, as well as the Storm Troll, whereas the Impaler and Jarl Skuld are in the middle with the Rune Bearer, just to get some shooting done. Now it's turn 1, so everything's just going to run up the table. I do like going first with Rask a lot because it lets me get a lot of board presence before I'm forced to feat. Usually I can get up the table a long way, force my opponent to come into me, and then sort of back off a little bit and feat to stop my opponent from being able to charge me, and that will either force him to move out of scenario zones and stuff like that, or give me an Alpha Strike. And with Fury, Gatorman Posse, and those big heavy war beasts with Boundless Charge, that Alpha Strike is going to be very, very rough. Here's everything moving up. All those Shamblers making a little path for Rask to get through, although they will try to keep them in his command range at 5 so that he can use them for Call to Sacrifice, just in case Jarl Skuld gets a couple of magic bullets off or something like that. Casting Fury onto the far right-hand unit of Gatorman Posse there, and I think, did he cast Admonition? No, he just dropped a Fury. Spiny Growth, the Boker, again to keep it safe from any magic bullets or random shenanigans that Jarl Skuld throws around, and then the Swamp Gobbler's just running up. So, over to Jarl Skuld, we have a Harmonious Exaltation going down from the Rune Bearer onto Jarl. He uses that to put Quicken onto the Nis Hunters, get them that extra +2 speed just in case. Alton actually moving up around the wall and taking a shot. I think he wanted to shoot the Black Hide, but it was going to be too far away. Shot one Gator and Posse, rolls a big old 11 for damage, does 7 damage to that Gator right in front. So, ow, that hurts. The Nis moving up. I don't think they have any targets. I think people are too far away. Yeah. But just getting that +2 speed from Quicken. Don't have a lot of ranged attacks in this particular list. Rask has a gun, and that's actually about it. He has his little trident cannon, but other than that, not a lot of ranged attacks. I have a Barnabas list that I play with, a Sacral Vault, and that has a lot more ranged presence, but this particular list is mainly based around the Fury Gatorman Posse getting into melee with things. And there's just the rest of the battle group running up. No feat from Tactical Supremacy. That's what's going on too. Some Tactical Supremacy on the Warders. So we're just seeing no feat from Jarl Skuld here. The Gatormen are still too far out. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to reposition a little bit, just moving up. I get one Fury Posse into the Warder there. I decide to whether or not I'm going to charge any more of them. I don't think so. No. Whatever Posse members go in there are going to probably die. So I didn't want to commit too many too early because every Gatorman counts. And with the feat this turn, they won't be able to be attacked in retaliation, so hopefully they'll be able to get an alpha pretty hard. Unfortunately, that Gatorman ended up missing and doesn't do any damage to the Warder, which is sad. They did pretty for Dirge of Mists, though, so that sort of counteracts the -1 defense from Fury, so they're back up to defense 12. Again, everything else running up. Trying really hard not to get my posse in the way of each other. I think my greatest fear with this list is to have different units intermingled and not be able to move them efficiently. But I think I've worked it out pretty well here. I have one posse on each side and one as a second line in the center. And I don't think that I end up getting mixed up too hard. Bunch of proxy bases going down. The red proxy base on the left-hand side there is a Gatorman from the middle unit. The blue proxy base is the Boker. Rask moving up, dropping his feet, and putting an admonition onto the Blackhide Wrestler, just in case those warders decide to get frisky and give the Wrestler a free reposition. Rask doesn't really have a ton to do with his Fury this turn. Cast some Spiny Growths out. I think we Spiny Growth the Boker again, just in case, like I said, Magic Bullets happen. We could get Magic Bullets onto some of those War Beasts and get really far up there. And if my opponent's able to take out the Boker early, that could be very bad, because if he's forced to transfer a bunch of damage to those Risen, Zombie Risen, then Rask will lose that defensive mechanism. So my opponent's trying at this point to kill that Gatorman off. Unfortunately, he's having a little bit of trouble. The Gatorman missed his attack on the warder he charged. And I think one warder charged him, missed, and the other one didn't do any damage? Or maybe they just advanced. No, I think they just advanced so they could get around that wall. But here's the Blitzer moving up, spending a bunch of Fury to kill that guy. Ends up, I think, making his melee attacks in there. We forgot about Veteran Leader from Dozer. My opponent didn't position correctly for it anyway, but he mentioned immediately afterwards that he'd forgotten to position the Blitzer so that it could see Dozer and get that +2, which would have stopped him from spending some of that Fury. So this Hunter's just meandering around trying to shoot my objective. Unfortunately, it is a friendly faction model, so it is protected by Rask's feet and can't be targeted. So in response, my opponent's activating Jarl Skuld and feeding himself. So what we have here is a counter to Rask's feet, which will stop my opponent from targeting me by putting a bunch of clouds down, which will stop me from targeting my opponent. So we basically both just lose a turn with these hard control feats here that are going on. And that's basically it. Some tactical supremacy moves going around. And that's all that's happening. Fortunately, my opponent didn't roll particularly well for clouds. He only rolled 4 clouds, which is going to mean that he's not able to protect his entire army. So that Furied unit of Gatorman Posse, you're charging into my opponent's objective, and then just meandering. And I think what's going to happen here is that those Posse are going to try to kill the objective and clear a path for Snapjaw to get into Dozer. Dozer's towing in the zone there, and Snapjaw with his +2 to charge against living models as well as Boundless Charge. He's going to be able to get a significant distance up the table. Putting a Spiny Growth on Rask just to keep him safe, and then Boundless Charge and Fury going on to him. And there you go. So we're going to hopefully be able to get around Jarl's feet, get a strong alpha strike, and start the peace trade from there. I don't feel too bad about losing Snapjaw, especially for an enemy heavy. Wrong Eye himself still does a ton of work if my opponent's not able to kill him. And if he does, obviously Snapjaw will go away, but I'll still have probably traded equal points for him. It is 9 points for both of those Gators. And so if I lose just Snapjaw for that, that's fine. And that ends up being a trade up because, like I said before, Wrong Eye can get Fury and end up being a heavy hitter in and of himself. Here we go. So Wrong Eye running around there to make sure Snapjaw gets in control. Snapjaw charging in with all that distance, 10-inch charge into Dozer. Boom. So he gets in with the bite, rolls super high for damage. There's a 17 for damage right there. It does a ton of damage to Dozer. Buying a couple of attacks. I think we end up taking him out pretty easily. We buy an attack into the warder next to him, I believe. Ends up killing him as well. Wasn't sure whether I was going to attack that warder, given that attacking with a trigger battle-driven, but I figured that I wasn't going to take too many attacks from warders anyway. Probably lose that Gator Man closer to the camera there. He ran up to force a command check onto the Nis Hunters with Dirge of Mists, so he'll probably die anyway. Other than that, the warders aren't really in range to do a ton of work. It's mainly the Blitzer I have to worry about now, being all up in there. But Rask's up there behind a cloud. He's got a couple call to sacrifice targets and Spiny Growth. Feeling pretty safe with him. And I think just expecting to lose a couple Gatorman and Snapjaw here and be able to come back pretty hard with all those Gatorman posse chilling in the back there. With their +2 speed against living models from Bloodthirst, I think it is, the Gatormen have a really long threat range against a lot of Hordes armies. They can get really far up the table and just toe in the back of those zones and out-threat my opponent, which is one of the strong strengths of a Gatorman army. Especially with Rask, when they hit as hard as they do at power 16 with Fury, they can be really scary. So what we have going on over here is my opponent makes a very good play. He moves up with the Blitzer and drops a Repulsion to push Snapjaw away. And that actually pushes Snapjaw out of Wrong-Eye's control area. So Wrong-Eye's not going to be able to use his 4 Fury that he's sitting on to transfer to Snapjaw and make it harder to remove them both. So my opponent ends up taking his shots with the Blitzer onto Wrong-Eye. Rolls really garbage. Ends up missing a boosted shot. Needs an 8, I think. Ends up missing it. Or a 7. No, I needed a 7. Missed the boosted 7. Hit another attack, boosted damage, and did nothing. So a bunch of bad rolls there. I don't know about nothing, but not enough damage at all. So my opponent's not entirely sure he's going to be able to kill Wrong-Eye this turn now that heavy War Beast has basically done nothing at all. Alton Ashley took a shot into the Black-Eyed Wrestler, doing a couple points to its Spirit. This is the Lightning Troll, I think, taking a couple swings into Snapjaw. I think my opponent figured at this point that if he can't take Wrong-Eye out, he might as well try to just kill Snapjaw and leave Wrong-Eye alive, which is fine with me. As I said before, I'm totally cool with that trade. We have some Nis Hunters going in, shooting at the Gatorman that Alton Ashley left on 1, and then a big CRA into the objective does a couple points of damage. Forgot to mention earlier, both of our objectives, although it doesn't matter for my opponent anymore, are Arcane Wonders to give -1 cost to upkeep spells. We both have a ton of various expensive upkeep spells, and it's not very relevant in this scenario, but in a scenario like Incoming or Rally Point, those objectives can come into play and let us hut swap Quicken or Fury for a lot less Fury, and be a little more efficient about it. There's the Warders going in, killing that Gatorman. 1 swing onto the objective ends up killing that too, with the damage from the Nis CRA. And 1 swing on another Gatorman. I think ends up missing that as well. The Warders not doing a ton of work right now. Jarl Skuld going in, trying to take out that Gatorman with 1 box left. The Nis, I think, both either missed or failed to break armor. I think one of them missed, one of them failed to break armor. Shooting a magic bullet into one of the swamp gobbers, I think, is what's happening here. So that's going to... Is that right? Yeah, I think that's what happened. So one of the swamp gobbers is dead, so it's going to reduce the size of the cloud they're going to make to 3 inches and force a command check on them, which I think they failed, so they'll be running away. Totem Hunter going, jumping out of melee with Snapjaw. Just so he doesn't get killed. That would be awkward. And then the Storm Troll, I guess, took a couple swings onto Snapjaw. I know the Storm Troll attacked Snapjaw at some point. I'm thinking back on it, I'm not entirely sure when. Snapjaw forcing to take a command check, or a threshold check, for not being able to have that Fury leech off of him. Ends up passing. He is bonded to Wrong-Eye, so he's threshold 10. So even with 3 Fury on him, he's still sitting at a 7. There's only like a 50-50 to fail, so Snapjaw's actually pretty safe when he's got a bunch of Fury on him. My Snapper, I think trying to kill my Swamp Gobber. He's in the way there for some of these models to get around. Ends up failing to kill him, but we Spiny Growth Rask again. And the Boker takes a ton of attacks to kill that Warder in the center there. Doesn't roll super well. Ends up spending about half his deck to kill that guy, even without Battle Driven triggered on his first swing. Wrong-Eye going in, charging the Blitzer. I'm going to try to take the Blitzer out this turn, which is why the Boker had to get up in there and kill some dudes. If the Boker kills that Warder, I'd say we'll be able to free up that entire swath of Gatorman back there. and they're going to be able to make short work of that blitzer. They're only armor 18. There's no Krillstone on this list, so it's not going to stand up to many, even unfuried Gatormen. They don't really even need Fury to take them out. So Wrong-Eye getting a couple swings in there. Snapjaw is still alive. My opponent could only attack him with a Storm Troll, really. I think he threw an Impaler Spear at him, too. I think that's what the earlier damage was. Ended up taking, I think, over half his grid out, but he's still alive, so Wrong-Eye's camping a couple Fury in order to transfer just in case. We have the Fury unit of Gatormen charging in, doing a ton of damage to the Blitzer. Ends up taking him out. Take a corpse from the Blitzer. They pray for Cold Blood to try to get a re-rolled attack onto Alton Ashley over the wall, but he needs a 9, so ends up missing with both the attack and the re-roll. One attack into the Storm Troll, doing a couple points of damage. The other unit going, charging in. I think I charged 2 into 1 warder. And then this last guy, praying Dirge of Mist to force a command check on the NIS, which they pass. 2 Gatorman charging Gatorman onto 1 warder, ends up forcing a tough check and taking him out almost exactly. So far that Boker's actually getting a significant number of corpses from this particular turn. He's up there pretty well protected between all of those posse, sort of forming a ring around him, and these 2 posse running up to protect him from any direct shooting. You're going to have to take those 3 posse out in order to kill the Boker. So hopefully that Boker is going to be able to spend some of those corpses, make some more Grombies next turn, and become a much more powerful force later on in the game. So far, we both are sitting at 1 control point from the objectives being destroyed. I've positioned the Wrastler in the back of the zone there, of my zone, as you can see, as well as the Feral Geist in that forest, hopefully to make it more difficult for my opponent to be able to chew through all those Gatormen in my zone and score. I don't think he can get anything hard enough hitting onto the Wrastler to kill it, although Alton Ashley is doing a couple points of damage every turn, which is kind of annoying. However, my opponent's zone is falling pretty rapidly. He's only got the Lightning Troll in there right now, and just a bunch of Light War Beasts going on. This is a Fell Caller hero, giving +2 to attack rolls to, I think that's only 1 warder left. So, +2 to attack rolls to that warder, swinging twice at the Gatorman in front of him. Hits both times, is a significant amount of damage, but isn't able to kill him. The NIS activating. Going to get some crazy charges in onto the Gatorman here. We're going behind that Gatorman leader in the front. Because my models, most of them charged, the arcs are a little bit awkward, and that's going to give my opponent a couple charges, pretty good charges. Here's some NIS starting in the back arc of my Gatorman, so they're only going to need 5s to hit instead of the normal 7. So that Gatorman in the front there doesn't look particularly good. I think he probably will explode. Yep, first NIS swing takes him down. And unfortunately he's too far away for the Boker to take his corpse and turn him into a Bogtrog. Another Gatorman goes down to a NIS charge, and then another one takes some damage. But those NIS are only Power 9 Weapon Masters. They are Weapon Masters, which is significant. But they're only Power 9, so they end up being dice -9 against the Gatorman. So it takes more than 1 NIS to kill them, and with the Dirge of Mist at Defense 13, they have a hard time hitting. So even though they're Weapon Masters in melee, those Gatormen are pretty resilient to the NIS attacks. Fortunately, that warder that is there to take out that injured Gatorman and put him out of his misery. The Impaler, I think, took a couple swings into the... Or took a shot into Snapjaw again. Or Wrong-Eye, maybe? I think he might have shot Wrong-Eye and forced a transfer. The Lightning Troll going. Double-handed throwing one of the Gators into the other Gator. You can see there. The Totem Hunter going for a last-ditch effort to kill Wrong-Eye. Unfortunately, taking a free strike from Snapjaw, who... very unlikely. His mind is crippled, so with the +2, goes up to mat 8, needs a 6 to hit the Totem Hunter on the free strike, rolls the 6, and ends up killing him with his tail attack. Very unlucky for my opponent there. Super lucky for me. The Totem Hunter absolutely would have killed Wrong-Eye on no no transfers. So that was pretty lucky, and it was a good play for my opponent knocking all the Gatormen in the way down, so they weren't going to be able to take free strikes either. He just had to worry about Snapjaw, and unfortunately underestimated his ability to roll 6s on one die. 1 in 6 chance to lose the Totem Hunter there, and it ended up happening. I think what's happening here is that Jarl Skuld's going, trucking out. Oh, he's healing. He's healing the Storm Troll and taking a couple shots into some of the Gator men up in the front there. Not rolling particularly well. Alton Ashley taking another shot into the Blackhide Wrestler, doing another d6 points to its spirit. Very annoying, Alton Ashley. Please stop, you dick. And then RuneShaper repositioning, and that's basically all that happens there. Unlikely, but Wrong Eye and Snapjaw are still both alive. They are both significantly damaged by attacks from the Blitzer and the Totem Hunter and the Lightning Troll, but still there. And the Boker is going to come back with a ton of zombies. I think we make 5 zombies this turn from the corpses I collected both last turn and this turn. And they are swarming around those Nists. So here is Wrong Eye going in, swinging into the Lightning Troll, or the Storm Troll. Does a significant amount of damage and heals Snapjaw's mind. This other unit of Posse just advancing because most of their members are knocked down. Just moving up to get in the way, praying for Dirge of Mists as well, I think. We are doing a significant amount of damage with that, the unit leader there, freeing up Wrong Eye, who is now healed, to go attack the Impaler. So he's just advancing over, rolling another 11 for damage. Snapjaw, when he's not crippled, is rolling very well this game. He is on his A game. Doesn't end up, I don't think we force too much with Snapjaw. We don't end up killing the Impaler, but we cripple it pretty significantly. And that basically seals my opponent off from that zone. There's a wall of Gator men in that unit there. Although they are all damaged, it's going to be rough for my opponent to try to get a model over there to contest. So that very bad situation for my opponent. Because all of those models have reached, there's going to be a ton of free strikes taken there if he is able to get any models in. Unless Jarl Skuld tries to kill them off. Rask going into the zone, camping a bunch of Fury and a couple Call to Sacrifice targets. And then the rest of the game basically is to come up my zone and hope my opponent can't clear it out. Those zombies, there are a lot of zombies there, but they are not particularly survivable. Spiny Growth going on Rask just in case. And everything else just repositioning. Running the Feral Geist into the center in order to try to block some real estate from the Nist. The Nist can go right through it, but they won't be able to land on top of it. So hopefully that will lessen the number of Nist charges I'm going to have to take on my opponent's turn. Now that puts me up to 3 control points with the objective I destroyed and Rask dominating my opponent's zone. So my opponent's going to have to try to contest my zone at this point or lose the game. Now it doesn't look very good for him at this juncture. I think Jarl Skuld taking a couple shots into one of the Gatormen there. Oh, here he goes, moving into the zone. Taking a couple shots into the Gatorman, blocking off Alton Ashley, ends up killing him. Taking a shot into the Blackhide Wrestler, boosting damage just to get some more damage on him. Between his shot and Alton Ashley's shot, they've actually done a significant number of damage to the Blackhide Wrestler. Not crippling him, but doing about 1/3 of his boxes, if I remember correctly, just over the course of the game. Alton Ashley electing to shoot at the Blackhide Wrestler as well. I think my opponent at this point is just trying to take him out and isn't particularly worried about contesting my zone, given that even if he does, basically anything in my zone is going to get eaten by Gatorman Posse. Rask can just paralyze whatever's in there, and then Gatorman and Wrong Eye and Snapjaw can probably take it out. So, just playing the rest of the game, and a couple Nist charges into the Blackhide Wrestler. One of them failed, unfortunately, so no more attacks on the Blackhide Wrestler. And basically just attacking into the zombies, and that is going to be the end of the game there at that point. So obviously good game to my opponent. Missing or hitting the Totem Hunter with a free strike there from Snapjaw was very bad for my opponent, as I said before. I think he tried very hard to kill Wrong Eye, which was absolutely the right play, and he made some good plays to do it, but unfortunately the dice just weren't there, and that allowed Snapjaw to sort of rule that flank and gave me a scenario victory. Although I did still have a lot of Gatormen waiting in the wings there in order to mop up after whatever Snapjaw left behind. So I think even if Wrong Eye Snapjaw had been taken out, it would have been a better game for my opponent, but I'm not sure that he would have been able to clear that zone, especially if Rask got in there, started paralyzing things, and putting down inhospitable ground. There's not a lot of Pathfinder in this list, so it could have been very difficult for my opponent, even if Wrong Eye and Snapjaw had been taken down. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. Super interesting battle report. I'm going to play minions for a little while, just a couple weeks, I think, until Captain Con. I might play them to Captain Con, I'm not sure. As I said before, I'm just playing around. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and you'll probably see some more Minions battle reports coming up in the future. Maybe Minions, maybe Circle, maybe some Cygnar active duty roster. Who knows what's happening? It's all sorts of craziness. Anyway, keep it classy, folks.